you're watching A News on Bakhtiar Sanov, and let's see the top stories shaping our world. Israel expects the release of hostages from Gaza to begin early Monday morning. Afghanistan strikes Pakistani border posts over alleged airspace and territory violations. Iran open to fair and balanced U.S. nuclear proposal, but says no offer received yet, top diplomat says. Israel says the release of hostages held in Gaza will take place early Monday morning. The Prime Minister's spokesperson, Shosh Bedrosian, has confirmed that all 20 living hostages are expected to be freed together and handed over to the Red Cross in a coordinated operation. She also said Israel is prepared to receive the bodies of 28 deceased hostages once the release of the living captives is complete.
International body, which was agreed on in this plan, will help locate the hostages if they are not found and released tomorrow. The Prime Minister insists that we will act to locate all of these hostages as soon as possible. We are ready for our hostages whenever Hamas wants to release them. We are expecting them tomorrow, but if there is an early release, we will be there to receive them.
The spokesperson added that Palestinian prisoners due to be freed as part of the agreement will only be released once all hostages scheduled for Monday have been received. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump will arrive in Israel on Monday before joining world leaders in Egypt for a summit on Gaza's future, as the last of the Israeli hostages are expected to be freed under a landmark ceasefire deal. Let's take a look.
In Egypt's Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, preparations are underway for a historic gathering. Flags rise above Peace Square and security tightens ahead of Monday's summit, one that could seal the first real path to peace in Gaza. US President Donald Trump will chair the meeting alongside Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. More than 20 world leaders, including France's Emmanuel Macron and Britain's Keir Starmer, are expected to attend to discuss the ceasefire and Gaza's future. The summit follows what Trump called a major step towards lasting peace, his 20-point plan that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on. The agreement sets out the framework for a permanent ceasefire, a gradual Israeli withdrawal, and large-scale reconstruction efforts for the devastated enclave. In Jerusalem, final preparations are also underway for Trump's highly anticipated address to the Knesset, while in Tel Aviv, billboards and banners thanking the US president fill the streets and squares. Diplomats say Monday's events will be more than symbolic, with a signing ceremony expected to mark the start of international reconstruction and aid efforts. Since October 7, more than 67,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza's health authorities, and most of the territory remains in ruins. Now, the world's attention turns to Egypt, where leaders hope to transform a fragile truce into lasting peace.
3 Qatari officials have died in a car crash in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, with 2 others injured. The group was carrying out official duties as part of Qatar's delegation to the Gaza Peace Summit, scheduled for Monday. Egyptian authorities say the injured are receiving medical care and an investigation into the crash is underway. As the peace deal between Israel and Hamas holds, Palestinians are returning to their abandoned homes in Gaza City. After the ceasefire, dozens of aid trucks entered Gaza as Israel reopened the border.
Thousands of displaced Palestinians continue to return to Gaza City, 2 days after the first phase of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas came into effect. Israeli troops pulled back under the first phase of the US brokered agreement to end the war. As they move along Gaza's coast, many anticipate the challenges ahead, as much of their city lies in ruins.
I'm going back, and I'm sure there is no life there. Life is completely non-existent. There won't be water or anything. Here at least the water comes on and off, but there will be nothing. There is no life there. Life will be completely non-existent. We will start putting foundations for ourselves all over again. Definitely there are no homes. What can we do? We don't know what to do.
Many are making the journey home by foot or donkey-pulled cart, unable to afford proper transportation. Their hope is that the peace deal holds.
We're terrified the war will start again. We no longer have money to be displaced, nor have any more money at all. No strength left in our bodies because of hunger, fear, and exhaustion. We have no strength left in us even for walking.
Following the ceasefire, dozens of trucks carrying aid entered Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing after Israel reopened the border. Under the agreement, humanitarian aid will be increased and allowed to move freely between northern and southern Gaza along the two main roads. Hundreds of trucks per day are expected to deliver food and medical supplies.
Iran says it's open to what it considers fair and balanced U.S. nuclear proposals, but Tehran hasn't received any offers for negotiations. The United States, its European allies, and Israel accuse Iran of using its nuclear program to conceal efforts to develop weapons capability, a claim Tehran denies. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Tehran will maintain its right to enrich uranium, but is willing to take confidence-building measures to demonstrate the peaceful nature of its nuclear program.
We will not give up the right of the Iranian people to enrich uranium, but if they want us to be transparent about it and build trust, we are ready to say that this enrichment is only for peaceful purposes. We have done this before. They should respect our right.
China has called U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariffs on Chinese goods a double standard and defended its curbs on exports of rare earth elements and equipment. This comes after Trump imposed additional tariffs of 100% on China's U.S.-bound exports in response to Beijing's most recent export controls on rare earth minerals. The Commerce Ministry said its export controls were introduced in response to a series of U.S. measures since their trade talks in Madrid last month. Beijing has vowed countermeasures against Washington if Trump follows through on his threat, which is set to take effect on November the 1st. Protests over chronic water and electricity shortages are intensifying in Madagascar. Thousands of young demonstrators have marched through the capital Antananarivo, demanding President Rajoelina's resignation. Groups of Malagasy soldiers have joined the protesters, escalating the political crisis.
Gen Z-led protests, resign callings, and a growing military rebellion. That is the current view of Madagascar's political landscape. Recently, a renegade military unit in Madagascar announced that it will take control of the armed forces.
The urgency is the restoration of public order and the daily lives of all Malagasy people. We, the military, stand for the homeland, we protect the people and their property, and above all, we live within society.
The declaration came hours after the presidency accused unnamed forces of attempting to overthrow President Andry Rajoelina. In a statement, the presidency said an attempted illegal and forcible seizure of power was underway in the African nation, without providing details. On Saturday, soldiers from the unit clashed with gendarmes outside a barracks. They then drove into the city on army vehicles to join demonstrators at the symbolic Place du 13 Mai in front of Antananarivo's City Hall, where they were welcomed with cheers and calls for Rajoelina to resign. The uprising by the soldiers is seen as an extension of the Gen Z protests, which began in late September over chronic water and electricity shortages. The protesters, mostly young people and university students, have rejected repeated government offers for talks. Their main demands are that Rajoelina resign, apologise to the nation and dissolve the Senate and Electoral Commission. The United Nations reports that at least 22 people were killed in the first days of the protests. On Saturday, local emergency services reported another 2 dead and 26 injured. Capsat said one of its soldiers was also shot by gendarmes and died. What started as frustration over daily hardships has now turned into Madagascar's gravest political crisis in years.
Polls have opened in Cameroon as the country heads for a presidential election. Incumbent President Paul Biya is looking to extend his 43-year seat in office, despite calls to step down.
Cameroonians have begun heading to the polls in a presidential election where incumbent Paul Biya, the world's oldest ruler at 92, is widely expected to maintain his 43-year grip on power, despite an energised opposition pushing for change. Announcing his bid for an 8th term in July, Biya said he was responding to numerous and insistent calls to remain in office. But this year's election cycle has also featured strong appeals for him to step aside. Voters say they want to see a new face in power, along with improvements to education, infrastructure and the cost of living.
I want to see change, improvement, maybe a new face, because I'm a child of this mandate. I'm 43 years old. I've never seen another president. You know, I've never knew or tested about the former president, Aijo, all these things. So just for that simple reason, I wanted to see a new face.
Biya faces 11 challengers, including former government spokesman Issa Chiroma Bakary, who has drawn large crowds demanding an end to the veteran leader's long tenure. Analysts say, however, that Biya, in power since 1982, is likely to be re-elected given his firm control of state machinery and the fragmented opposition. The Constitutional Council has until October 26th to announce the final results.
To Europe now, Portuguese voters are heading to the polls on Sunday as 9.3 million voters choose new mayors and local leaders across 308 municipalities. The elections come just a month after the far-right Chega party became Portugal's second largest force in parliament and now aims to secure its first city hall victories. They also represent a key test for the ruling Socialist Party and the centre-right Social Democrats, as both seek to defend or expand their local bases. In Lisbon and Porto, polls indicate a neck-and-neck race between the leading contenders. In the capital, incumbent Mayor Carlos Moedas faces mounting criticism over rising housing costs and his response to last month's funicular tragedy, while socialist challenger Alexandre Leitão has pledged tougher measures to rein in tourism and short-term rentals. We lost a true original. Hollywood pays tribute to Diane Keaton. More stars are sharing their condolences for the Oscar-winning actress who died on Saturday. Many of Diane Keaton's former co-stars and friends, including Jane Fonda, Steve Martin, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Hudson, have shared heartfelt tributes to the late actress. Keaton, best known for her roles in Annie Hall, The Godfather and Father of the Bride, passed away in California at the age of 79. Her cause of death is not yet available. The Oscar and Golden Globe winner was celebrated for her distinctive charm, menswear-inspired style, and a career spanning more than 5 decades. She is survived by her 2 adopted children, Dexter and Duke. Afghan security forces attacked Pakistani border posts late Saturday. The Taliban says it was a response to repeated airspace violations by Pakistan, and 58 Pakistani soldiers were killed overnight. Islamabad has neither confirmed nor denied the claims, but says it will do everything to protect its citizens.
Tensions flared along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border late Saturday after Afghan security forces attacked several Pakistani posts. The Taliban says it was a retaliatory move against repeated airspace violations by Pakistan. Meanwhile, Pakistan in turn accuses the Taliban of sheltering militants behind deadly attacks inside its territory. The Taliban government's chief spokesman, Zabihullah Mujahid, said Afghan forces have captured 25 Pakistani army posts, 58 soldiers have been killed and 30 others wounded. Inayatullah Khwarazmi, spokesperson for Afghanistan's Ministry of Defence, said the attack concluded at midnight local time. Afghan state-run media said over a dozen Pakistani soldiers were killed, but there was no immediate confirmation from Islamabad. The Taliban forces said they captured 3 Pakistani border posts. On the other hand, Pakistani security officials said their military had destroyed several Afghan posts. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar expressed concern over the situation, calling it a serious provocation from the Taliban. Earlier in the week, Afghan authorities accused Pakistan of bombing the capital, Kabul, and a market in the country's east. Pakistan did not claim responsibility for the assault. Islamabad accuses Kabul of harbouring members of the banned group Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Several Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia, Iran and Qatar, have called on Pakistan and Afghanistan to show restraint and resolve their differences through dialogue. Afghanistan's Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi said that Qatar and Saudi Arabia had mediated between his country and Pakistan following cross-border exchanges of fire overnight.
President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev arrived in Egypt on Sunday to attend the Middle East Peace Summit hosted by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. President Aliyev was welcomed at Sharm el-Sheikh International Airport by Egypt's Minister of Youth and Sports Ashraf Sobi and other officials. The meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh aims to finalize an agreement to end the war in Gaza under a U.S.-brokered peace plan. Leaders from across the region are expected to discuss the ceasefire, security arrangements and post-war reconstruction. Turkish and Syrian officials met in Ankara on Sunday to discuss security cooperation and regional developments. The talks included top diplomats, defense and intelligence officials from both sides. They followed Turkey's call for the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces to abandon their separatist agenda after a ceasefire was announced. Both sides exchanged views on security matters and the wider regional situation. Turkey and Azerbaijan have once again demonstrated their deepening military cooperation. Turkish Defense Minister Yaşar Güler and Azerbaijan's Chief of the General Staff Kerim Valiyev attended the Distinguished Observer Day of the large-scale Ateş Serbest 2025 military exercises in Turkey. The event showcased the operational readiness and capabilities of Turkish armed forces. The Ateş Serbest 2025 military exercise is one of Turkey's largest annual combat readiness drills, brought together various branches of the Turkish armed forces, including the land, naval and air forces, for live fire operations and tactical demonstrations. The exercises took place at a major military training zone in central Turkey, highlighting a country's ongoing defense collaboration and interoperability. Baku is preparing to host a trilateral meeting between Azerbaijan, Iran and Russia to develop the international North-South transport corridor. Deputy Prime Ministers from Azerbaijan and Russia, along with Iran's Minister of Road, and expected to attend. The agenda includes easing customs procedures, improving truck transit and advancing energy cooperation. The corridor aims to cut delivery times for goods moving between India, Russia and Europe from 6 weeks to about 3. Archaeologists in Turkey have made a new discovery in Şanlıurfa's Somatar ancient city. A public structure from the Iron Age is offering a new insight into the region's ancient history.
Archaeologists in southeastern Turkey have discovered a public structure from the Iron Age. The find dates back nearly 3,000 years, offering new clues about life in the Neo-Assyrian era.
Based on our findings so far, we can say that the history of this site extends back to the Iron Age. It is also a significant necropolis area, with grand tombs believed to have been used by the elite and noble classes.
Excavations have already revealed 83 rock tombs from the early Bronze and Roman periods, along with a large public complex containing 7 rooms, each with walls up to 2 meters high. The discovery comes as Turkey underscores its growing global leadership in archaeology. At the International Archaeology Symposium in Ankara earlier this year, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said the country now conducts nearly 800 field studies annually and has repatriated over 13,000 historical artifacts, since 2002. Experts say the Somatar excavation adds to Turkey's expanding list of significant archaeological achievements both on land and underwater.
Thank you for joining me. That's your news update for now. Make sure you stay tuned to A News for more.